Gotta get back into gear. Yes?
Yes.
Yesterday just felt like some other world. We're in there for a while. All kind of things are going on.
Last 2 days.
Battle in the streets and other auspicious and sometimes inauspicious things, at least in my own life. There's things are going on. But it's good to be back with you all. Can we remember where we were? We had 2 days really where we've kind of gone a little into different ways because we didn't meet yesterday. And the day before that, we discussed Gaur Purnima, or the birth of Sri Chaitanya. And I think the day before that was a day off too, was it?
Yes.
So it's really this is now the fourth day we go back to where we were. Are you ready?
Yes.
Can anyone even remember what we were talking about?
Gyan yoga.
Yeah, that's right. We're talking about, very good. We're talking about Jnana Yoga. So we're going through the 4 different paths of yoga, that one way that we could categorize the broader world of yoga, dividing into these 4. We've discussed so far Ashtanga Yoga and Jnana Yoga. And as we've been discussing, we've kind of placed these 2 under the umbrella of leaving the world behind. We can all see this over here. Did I bring my little pointer? I don't think I did. No. Thank you. And what's now we get into the extra point questions. What's the Sanskrit term for this leave the world behind umbrella of these 2?
Vairagya.
We could say vairagya, but yeah, we're going with karma sannyasa. Karma sannyasa. Krishna is using this term in the Gita. He's using it in the 3rd chapter. He's using it in the 5th chapter. These are paths of yoga where karma sannyasa, you renounce karma. You renounce your work in the world. You renounce your social responsibilities, your social duties in life. What are some of those social duties, popular ones?
Marriage.
Okay, like being a spouse, being a parent. Those are important social roles. Those are karmas, you could say. What else? Your job, your occupation in the world, right? In the Vedic paradigm, there'd be 4 categories that one might fall into. You might be a business leader, which would be called a Vaishya. You might be like a political, or like, say, a ruler in a sense. That would be called a Kshatriya. You might be a spiritual leader, and that would be called a Brahmana. All 3 of these leaders, the leaders had to be trained in ethics so that they wouldn't exploit people, so that they would protect people and do a good job. That's what this was all about. It's not what got warped into what they now call the caste system. It was about bringing ethics into leadership. So those are 3 leaders, and then all the other employees would be called Chudras, right? All the employees. All of them have their particular duties, their particular karmas, the works that they do. Karma sannyasa means we leave all that behind, right? Leave the home behind, the family behind, leave the work, occupation, social roles behind. Karma sannyasa, because that's a world of entanglement. But both in good and bad ways, right? Both like the warmth of the family, the warmth of the home, the affection that's there, but also the entanglement that's there, the attachments that develop, etc. Sometimes these paths one would leave home towards the end of life. When the children are grown up and the responsibilities have been fulfilled, then they would walk away and go and practice Ashtanga Yoga or practice Jnana Yoga in some secluded place. So these both fell under that umbrella of karma sannyasa. Now we begin to talk about the other 2 paths. And they fall under this other umbrella to the right, which in English we have say engaged with the world, or we might call it socially engaged. What was the term for this umbrella here, that covers these 2 paths? Very good. Karma Yoga, which is a little confusing, potentially, because, look over here, there's a big hint.
It's also a category called karma yoga.
Exactly, because it's the name of the broader umbrella, but then under that umbrella, there's another category called Karma Yoga. So we're using Karma Yoga in 2 different ways. One as a broader category, Karma Yoga, meaning one's karmas, one's social responsibilities, are being engaged with as yoga. They're becoming, rather than saying, I need to leave that to practice yoga, we're saying, I'm going to turn that into yoga. I'm going to turn being a spouse into yoga. I'm going to turn being a parent into yoga. I'm going to turn being an employee or a business leader or a political leader or a spiritual leader. I'm going to take that role and I'm going to turn it into yoga. I'm going to make it my field of contemplation. I'm going to contemplate the same knowledge that the Jnana Yogi is contemplating. I'm not my body. The things of this world are temporary. I don't need external things to satisfy me. My happiness is something that's found within. It's not dependent on externals. All the same things that the Jnana Yogi is meditating on in seclusion, the Karma Yogi is reflecting on these as they carry out their duties in the world. Does that make sense to everyone? Interesting?
Yes.
We're onto something here? Maybe something more practical for most of us, right? Anybody willing right now to go wander off into the mountains alone? Are you? Tell the truth. Okay, I didn't think so. What are the kids going to say? Mommy left, she never came back.
Yeah.
What's that? It's a 3-day trip. I challenge you to do it even one night. Go sleep under a tree, crawl into a cave. Scary stuff. You got to really, it takes a lot of time. But what Krishna's saying, and this is real important, Krishna's not presenting the path of karma yoga, the path of working in the world, as some lesser yoga, that it's only for people that can't do that. And as a matter of fact, sometimes he uses language where it's, honestly, I consider this like human language. And what I mean by human language is, I think in the Bhagavad Gita, you know how we speak sometimes, where we say like say we're waiting for a bus at a bus stop. And we've been waiting for a long time, longer than we should have to wait for a bus. And we say something like, this bus is taking forever, right? Or I've been waiting here all day. We haven't been waiting all day. We've been waiting, 15 minutes longer than we might expect to wait. But we say in a human sense, we say, I've been waiting all day. Yes? I believe that Krishna is speaking that way sometimes in the Bhagavad Gita. And I'll share one example wherein Krishna is sounding like he's saying, forget about karma sannyasa. That's a lower level thing, which you might not expect to hear, right? You might expect like that's a higher level thing, these people that are capable of walking away from everything. But listen to this. Text number 6, chapter 6, text 1, where Krishna finally kind of like, he's like, in this chapter, I'm going to finish it. But by the time I'm done with this chapter, Arjuna is going to realize he's not meant to be that kind of yogi that walks away from the world, right? I've been trying for chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5. Arjuna's still not getting it. I'm going to finish it in chapter 6. I'm going to describe Ashtanga Yoga in detail. And then Arjuna says, I don't think I can do that. He says, that's okay. There's other types of yoga you can do. So this is text 6.1. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Anashrita karma palam karyam karma karotiya sa sannyasi cha yogicha na niragnir natrapriya. Krishna says, one who is unattached to the fruits of his work, right? He's got vairagya, he's got detachment, and yet who works as they're obligated, okay? Unattached to the fruits of their work, but working as they're obligated. What are the obligations? Again, as a spouse, as a parent, as a ethical person in the working world, right? So he's saying, one who is unattached to the fruits of the work, but who works as he is obligated, that's the karma yogi, yes? Is in the renounced order of life. He uses the word sannyasa here. He says he's a sannyasi. Don't think that because someone walks off into the forest wearing just some loincloth, that they're a sannyasi. He's saying if someone is working in this world but detached from the fruits, not doing it to get material gain, they're a sannyasi inside. They've renounced inside, and that's the real sannyasi. So he says again, one who is unattached to the fruits of his work and who works as he is obligated is in the renounced order of the life. He's a sannyasi, and he is the true mystic. It says he's the true yogi. Sa sannyasi cha yogi cha. And then he says this, not he who lights no fire and performs no duty. Okay, now the people that light the fire and perform duty are the people that are engaged in the world. Lighting the fire refers to the Vedic rituals that one does for all of those worldly duties. A child's being born, you light a fire, you chant the mantras. You buy a new house, bring the priest over, they light the fire, they chant the mantras. You get married, everyone gets around that fire, everybody's chanting mantras, throwing the ghee into the fire. You understand? It's for lighting the, so when you take sannyas, there's no need for you to light the fire and chant these mantras anymore because you don't have that world. All of that external stuff, the making the offering to God, you do that all internally, right? There's none of this external engagement like this in anymore. So, but now I want to read it one more time and listen to how he's using this human language. He's saying, one who is unattached to the fruits of his work and who works as he's obligated is in the renounced order of life, and he is the true mystic. He's the true sannyasi, the true yogi, not he who lights no fire and performs no duty. He's saying they're not the real mystics. Now, I believe he's saying this in a human way, the same way that we say, like, the bus is taking forever, because certainly there are people that are true yogis and true mystics, but he's telling Arjuna, if you walked away from this world, you wouldn't be a true sannyasi, because you would still internally, your mind, excuse me, would be out on that battlefield. Everybody get that? Yeah. And I'm just highlighting this to say that it's not that karma yoga, that engaging in the world, is being seen as a lesser yoga for lesser people. It does require less qualification, but because someone's doing it doesn't mean they're less qualified. Should I say that again? It does require, anyone can begin it. Anyone can practice it. More people are eligible to practice it because very few people are capable of walking away from everything. But just because you're doing it doesn't mean that you're less advanced than the person that walks away. Because you can be just as internally detached as you work in this world as the person who walks away from the world. So less qualification to practice it, but not necessarily less realization of the person that's in it. Is that clear? Everybody with me? Okay. Now I wanted to just, this is something that we covered earlier because someone asked a good question about it, but I want to examine one other thing just so that we really get this clear. And there we go, thank you. So you're getting a little too big there because we're missing some of it. There we go, thank you. So on the left here, we're looking at the same thing we're looking at on the other page. This is the second umbrella, engage with the world. Here I have the title Karma Yoga over it, right? Everybody with me?
Yes.
Everybody good? Give me a big yes. Everybody, thank you. I need this. I need some reciprocation here. It's a tough day yesterday. I need to know you're with me. So here we have Karma Yoga on the top. It's the label of an umbrella. It's literally the word that Krishna uses for this broader category, Karma Yoga, right? Turning your work into yoga. And then underneath that, we have two categories, Karma Yoga again. Now it's a subcategory under the bigger umbrella, and Bhakti Yoga, right? There's one nuance we say about Bhakti Yoga here. Can anyone remember what that is? You got it, Chapuji? You want to say it into the microphone?
That you can do it also as an intention.
Yes, potentially Bhakti Yoga could be done as a karma sannyasi. Someone could practice Bhakti Yoga walking away from home and family, sitting in a cave, meditating on Krishna's names, meditating on Krishna's pastimes. So theoretically, a Bhakti Yogi could be a karma sannyasi. That clear? But in most cases, they're going to be a karma yogi in the sense that they're working in the world. Okay. Now here's a question that sometimes comes up, particularly as people read this Bhagavad Gita as it is, which is really, in my opinion, well, just objectively, it's very dear to me because it's written by the guru of my guru, my Param Guru. I've found it speaks the most to me of all the different English translations and commentaries. I find it particularly relevant. But objectively, I've seen that this brings people to the understanding of it in such a way where it transforms their lives more than any other Bhagavad Gita I've seen. The conclusion of the Bhagavad Gita is that Sarvadharma Prityaja, that one surrender unto Krishna. And so this is a book where I've seen that happens in people's lives when they read it. They get that understanding, whereas you can read a lot of Bhagavad Gitas and a lot of commentaries on it and not really get that. So I treasure this translation as being really, really carrying the charge, the electric charge of the message of Krishna in this translation. But sometimes people will look at it and say, well, he's translating words and he's kind of giving favoritism to Bhakti Yoga. Well, Krishna is giving favoritism to Bhakti Yoga in the Bhagavad Gita, if you look at it carefully. And sometimes he's translating the word Karma Yoga as devotional service or as Bhakti Yoga. Why is he doing that? And what we're discussing right now, I think, speaks to that. And so this is what I want to share. Here's a verse, text 5.2, where Krishna uses both the terms Karma Yoga and Karma Sannyasa, right? Here it is. Sannyasa Karma Yogascha Nishreyasa Karav Ubau Tayos tu Karma Sannyasat Karma Yoga Vishishyate. Okay, you see those two terms, he used them there, right? Those are the two umbrellas, Karma Sannyasa and Karma Yoga. Throughout the third chapter, the fifth chapter, Krishna is drawing this line and saying, see, there's these two different ways that people can practice yoga. Now, here's the translation. The renunciation of work, what is that? Thank you, Karma Sannyasa. And work and devotion, what is that speaking to? It's Karma Yoga. The word that Krishna uses is Karma Yoga. Srila Prabhupada translates it practically as Bhakti Yoga. You see that? So, because he calls it work in devotion, right? So he could have said work with detachment. That would have been a more tight translation, right? Karma Yoga, work with detachment, right? But he says the renunciation of work and work in devotion are both good for liberation, but of the two, work and devotional service is better than the renunciation of work. Now, right there, that's just like the verse I read 6.1, where again, he's saying like, this one's better, right? He's saying that work, karma yoga vishishyate. Working in the world as yoga is better than walking away from the world, Arjuna. He's been very direct in saying this. But why is Prabhupada writing work and devotion? And if we can slide over again to the other side. Yeah. Keep going. There we go. So, because what Prabhupada knows is it becomes very clear as you read this Gita that what Krishna is recommending Arjuna to do is practice Bhakti Yoga as Karma Yoga. That is what if you take the whole, that's what he's saying. So, if Prabhupada were to translate it as Karma Yoga, then we would likely all begin to think that he's talking about this path, this subcategory on the left. Is this clear? Yes. Because that's what we think of when we think of Karma Yoga. We don't think of the Bhagavad Gita's broader umbrella. We tend to think of like the modern day idea of the four paths of yoga as like, say, laid out especially by Vivekananda. And so we would think that it's not necessarily including devotion to God. So by translating it as work and devotion, Prabhupada's making sure that we're thinking of this specifically what Krishna is going to be recommending throughout the Gita. Should I say that again? Everybody? Okay, let's do this one more time. We're going to make it click this time. If there's any questions, we'll take questions on it. If the average person picks up this book and reads that verse, and it says, the renunciation of work and karma yoga are both good for liberation, but of the two, karma yoga is better than the renunciation of work, then we're likely going to think of the lower category karma yoga here, which does not necessarily include bhakti. But Krishna was just saying, he was speaking of those two umbrella terms. Prabhupada wants to translate, he doesn't want us to become confused and think that Krishna is asking Arjuna to do anything less than service with devotion, than bhakti. So he goes ahead and translates karma yoga, the upper category, as bhakti yoga, so that we understand this is specifically what Krishna is asking Arjuna to do. All right? Maybe that'll become still more clear as we talk. Any questions? We're wide open. Yes. Amy, here comes the microphone.
I don't know if this question is more for, I guess it's more for modern day now. Would you consider karma yoga more difficult than renunciation? Because you're trying to keep that equanimity while living as a grihasta.
Yeah. It's an interesting question. Sometimes you'll find within spiritual texts the idea that one who can control it's one thing to control your senses when you're removed from the objects of the senses, but one who's more advanced can control their senses even when they're within the realm of all the objects of the senses. So if you say it that way, it sounds like it's easier to walk away from the world and be controlled, be yogic, like that. But really, generally, it's considered the other way. In other words, it's a hard thing to walk away from the world and keep a peaceful mind, to practice it successfully. You need a mind that's already relatively peaceful. You need to have already let go of so much if you're going to walk away and have a peaceful mind. But someone with a mind not so peaceful, not so detached, rather than try to do a path where it requires stillness of mind, you do a path where you can engage the mind. And in that sense, it's easier. So take your mind, engage it in this duty, keep it busy so that it's not getting in trouble. What do they say? Do they say idle hands or idle, right? Idle mind or idle hands are the devil's workshop, right? And if you're not active, it's likely you're going to get yourself in trouble. So this broader karma yoga category says, keep your senses active, keep your body active, keep your mind active, but keep it moving in the right direction. And in this way, you're narrowing down the field of your concentration in the right direction. So in that sense, it's easier to practice karma yoga than karma sannyasa. All right, good question. Yes, microphone coming, Prabhu.
I'm sorry, just wanted to reflect on that because by being here in Rishikesh and observing many people who are coming, like in the beginning when they come, it's such an enthusiasm for, how to say, going away from the world.
Yeah.
But then after some time I see the tendency, if they're longer time in the same place without being engaged, like that they start falling into their emotional spins and tamas, or being dragged away in so many different things that are not so spiritual around.
Yeah, sure.
So
thank you.
Just interesting.
Excuse me. All right, let's talk more directly now about karma yoga. Specifically, now we're talking about this lower category as compared to bhakti yoga. Are we ready? Like the third path to the four paths. Yes. Okay. Let's really try to understand this. Each of these paths has a different approach to controlling the mind. Can we go back to the previous slide? In Ashtanga Yoga, we said the strategy for dealing with the mind was to still the mind, right? Still the mind through rigorous discipline and concentration. In Jnana Yoga, how does it deal with the mind? What's its strategy? It breaks the mind's attachments through analysis and discernment between reality and illusion, aided by practices of austerity, right? We talked about that in depth when we met earlier. Karma Yoga, how does it deal with the mind? What's its strategy? It transforms the sense of false ego through working responsibly with knowledge and detachment, turning all action into sacrifice. Most of us work in this world not as an act of sacrifice, not as an act of giving to the supreme, giving to the higher power. Most of us act in this world to get something for ourselves, to get some external thing that we've identified as the source of our future happiness. We want to acquire it through our work. That's why we get married. That's why we have children. That's why we go to work every day, because we believe that by following that path, we will find happiness through these externals. So karma yoga means I'm doing the same work that everybody else is doing it, but I'm not doing it because I think I'm going to get happiness from these external things. I know because I have jnana, just like the jnana yogi has. I know I'm not my body. I know I'm not my mind. I know that the contact of the senses with the sense objects, it delivers some kind of pleasure that's always followed by pain, because the force of time always separates us from whatever object it is that's giving us pleasure. It's the nature of the material energy. I also know that I'm spirit, that I'm beyond all of this, that I have a much higher potential, that my happiness is an internal attribute of my true self. And I can find that by looking within, not by trying to find it without. That's jnana. The karma yogi has the exact same jnana as the jnana yogi. It's just that they're taking it and contemplating it in the workplace, in their social roles. So what is karma yoga? It's the combination of two things. The karma means the work that we do in the world, the social responsibilities that we have, combined with jnana and knowledge and detachment. You combine the two, and now you have karma yoga. Is that clear? This is what karma, it's a term that gets watered down, especially in the Western yoga world, where they say, if you come and clean the yoga studio, we'll give you some free classes. It's karma yoga. Yeah, or they'll say something like, they'll identify maybe philanthropy as karma yoga. Philanthropy may be karma yoga if it's done with knowledge and detachment, but it may be a nice activity but not be karma yoga. Does that make sense? Because this is really a yogic path of contemplation of the self. Who am I? In removing the truth of who I am from all the illusory concepts of who I am and all the illusory attachments that we have. Doing that in the work world, that's karma yoga. All right. Now, so that might look like what does that look like in the real world? Let's say we have two people. They have the exact same job. Let's say that they work. Let's say they each own a shop, like a hardware store. One of them is a karma yogi, and one of them is what we call a karmi, a person that's just working in the world, as the average person does, as a non-yogi. So the non-yogi, he wakes up, takes a shower, puts on some clothes, has some breakfast, he's walking to work. And as they're walking to work, they're thinking, today, hopefully it'll be a good day. Hopefully there'll be good business today, and I'll make money. And if I can make enough money, I can get the things that I need to be happy in this world. What gives me happiness? Well, a new car would make me happy. If I could get the new model of car that I'm looking at, my heart's developed an attachment to getting a particular model of a car. And I really feel that when I'm sitting behind the wheel of that car and driving down the street, people are going to look at me a little differently. I'm going to feel better about myself driving that car. I'm going to feel more successful, right? People that see me will identify me as being successful. And I'm going to enjoy that. And it may even open up opportunities for me that wouldn't be there if I wasn't perceived that way. I'm going to also be able to buy new clothes. When I put on those new clothes, I'm going to feel different about myself. People are going to look at me in a different way. It's going to be good for my prestige in society, right? I also have my family. I have my wife. She's dependent on me supporting her, counting on me being a money earner. I derive a lot of happiness through my relationship with her, both physically and emotionally. In order to maintain that, I need to keep making money. If I were to stop, it's likely that the relationship is going to fall apart. So I'm also making money to maintain that. And through that, I get physical pleasure. Through that, I get emotional support, right? Through that, I feel better about myself, right? So I'm working for these things, right? And then he goes to work and he opens up the shop and sells his hardware. At the end of the day, he closes up the shop and does the books and goes home. Hopefully, if he's If he made a lot of money, he's walking back and he's feeling elated. If it was a bad business day and hardly did any sales, he's feeling depressed. It's not working, right? Okay, now the other business owner owns a shop just like the other person, but he's a yogi, right? So he wakes up, takes a shower, then he sits down, opens up Bhagavad Gita, spends a half an hour with it, reads it, contemplates it, hears about the nature of the self, hears about the nature of the world, hears about God, reflects on this, thinks about it, spends another half hour doing mantra meditation, bringing his mind to this pure spiritual energy, connecting himself to God through this sound. Then when he's walking to work, he's not thinking like the other person. He's not thinking, if I can make money today, I can buy the things that will bring me happiness. He's already processed in his mind through his yogic process that the external things are not sources of happiness. They bring happiness and distress. My real happiness lies within. It's understanding my own true nature and uncovering that. So I will do my best at work today. And ultimately, the results of what happens, whether I do a lot of business or a little business, ultimately that's up to God. What's up to me is to give my best effort, right? And I will learn to be detached from the results, right? I do my best, and then I accept what comes, right? And what money I make, that's not my money to buy my things for my happiness, right? Who am I? I am just a servant of the Supreme, right? The people, my family, whatever money I get, some of it will be able to take care of them, right? I'll take care of them because it's the right thing to do, not because they're the source of my happiness, but because I have a responsibility to them, and I have a responsibility to my community. And so this money is used for that, right? That's how I see it. You understand the difference? Now, let's think about how this Bhagavad Gita philosophy plays out during the day. How an ordinary, mundane kind of job can be transformed into a spiritual practice. Would you like to hear about that?
Yes.
Okay, let's identify three things, three concepts that Krishna speaks a lot about in the Bhagavad Gita that deal with how a spiritual person, how a yogi, through knowledge, through jnana, how they process reality, the world that they're in, and through it achieve higher levels of yogic awareness. And I'm going to talk about three different levels of yogic awareness, or three different aspects of yogic awareness. Would you like to hear that? Mm-hmm. Sometimes people say, I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual. You've heard that before? Okay. Now, I believe I get it. I like that. But what do we mean, actually? You know, if you ask them, what exactly does that mean? They might have a harder time articulating what exactly is spiritual and how exactly is it different from religious. It gets a little muddy, I find. They might be able to say, well, you know, I'm not a member of any church, but I believe that there's some kind of God out there, there's some kind of power out there. They might say it like that. What I want to share, these three different aspects of yogic awareness, I think these are really helpful for defining what is spiritual thought. Would you like to hear those three things?
Yes.
Okay. One of them is called samatvam, an even mind. Literally, samatvam means evenness, that whether it's hot or cold, it's not that I go up and down with that. It gets real cold and it's absorbed. My mind is absorbed in it. Oh no, now I'm suffering. Then it gets hot. Oh my God, this is too much. When will it be a nice day again? I have an even mind, right? I know it's gonna be hot one day, cold the next. I've come to terms with it. Hot and cold, the temperature's going up and down. My mind is staying steady. My happiness isn't tied to the temperature or the weather, right? It's also not tied to whether people are saying nice things about me or people are saying things that aren't nice about me, right? I can keep an even mind. Krishna is going to say to Arjuna, in victory, in defeat, can you keep an even mind? If you make money today or don't make so much money, can you keep an even mind? Evenness of mind. Krishna will say, samadvam yoga uchate, that such evenness of mind is called yoga, right? If you can go out and work into the world Give it your best effort. Be detached from the results. Keep your mind even no matter what the circumstances are. You're practicing yoga. You are a yogi. Samadvam yoga uchate. Interesting? Good one? You want to take yoga off the mat. You practice that, evenness of mind. Okay, next, samadarshana. Very important for society, right? A real answer to so many of our social ills that we suffer from in this world. Samadarshana, sama again means evenness, darshana means vision. And specifically what samadarshana means is I don't judge people based on externals, based on their body, based on their gender, based on their race, based on their external, what family they were born in, what nation they were born in, even what species they're from. I see that although the bodies are always changing, we're all moving through all different types of bodies. We're male one birth, we're female the next birth. We're white one birth, we're black the next birth. We're American one birth, we're Indian the next birth. Then we become animal. The same soul can enter into animal birth, right? Could even be a plant. Wherever we see birth, growth, reproduction, maintenance for some time, gradually dwindling, aging, and ultimately death, wherever we see matter move through those transformations, it means that the soul is present. And the soul in every living being is made out of the same spiritual stuff. So when I see someone, no matter where they're from, I recognize they are that soul, and I relate to them on that spiritual level, this samadarshana. So we got samatvam, samadarshana, and then antasukha. Antasukha, anta means within, sukha means happiness. My happiness is my nature. My happiness is not dependent on anything external. I don't need anything or any circumstances to be happy. If I can find my happiness within, then no matter what the external circumstances are, I could be in prison and I can find happiness, right? Does that make sense? Yes. So samadarshana, samatvam, antasukha. Can we practice these even when we're working at the hardware store? You know, even when we're engaged, if we can, we're practicing yoga and we're practicing karma yoga. We're contemplating the same things. You know, people would walk away from the world to get this samatvam and the samadarshana and the antasukha. Krishna's saying you can get them while you're working in the world. Even Arjuna, you can even get it as a warrior, right? If you contemplate this, if you hear this, you reflect on it, it'll grow in you and it'll become the way that you see the world naturally. And I wanted to read a little something for you that kind of where I get into this. This is something that I wrote it once for a video or something I was doing, like as a script. But I'll read this for you now. Is that all right?
Yes.
It speaks to these three and how they can play out in one's life. And I kind of lay it out like someone going to work, just like in that hardware store. Okay, give this a try. I read this, it sounds a little like a self-help book or something like that. In any case, you can give this a try. Try this for even a week. After you wake up in the morning and you get out of bed, and after you take your shower and put on some clean clothes, then sit down in a quiet place. Take a few deep breaths, maybe say a prayer to God in your heart, and then pick up the Bhagavad Gita and read a chapter. Don't just speed through the texts, but take the verses in, reflect on them. Try to let them speak to your soul and strengthen your intellect so that when you leave the shelter of your home and you begin your daily responsibilities, you'll see things more clearly. Then, when you set out for your day, you've got an intention clearly set. You've got a mission to deepen that insight that you've gathered in your readings. Does that make sense? I read about the nature of the self. I read about the nature of the world. And then I go out into the world and I reflect on that knowledge as I'm engaged. It's karma yoga. As you go to work, you can think, I'm not my body. I'm not my senses. I'm not even the mind that I'm seeing this world through. I'm a spark of spirit moving through a material world in a material body. I know that according to my actions in the past, I'm destined for some pleasure today, right? The karma. And some suffering as well. I'll witness them both come and go with an even mind. You got that? Right? I know that due to my past karma, I'll experience some pleasure today. I'll experience some suffering. I've already come to terms with that. I'll watch them come and go with an even mind. Things may go well at work today, or they may not go so well. That's not under my control. What is under my control is the effort I give. So I'll give it my best effort, and I'll be detached from the results. Whether it's a good day at work or not so good, I won't be depressed or elated either way. I'm not interested in the flickering happiness of material gain. I'm focused on uncovering the steady spiritual happiness that's deep within me. That's that antasukha. Every person that I encounter today, I'll try to see them based on the truth that they're all like me, a pure spark of spiritual energy. I'll try not to judge them based on their body. If they are kind to me, that will be nice. And if they're unkind, I'll reflect on the truth that I've also been unkind in the past. I'll tolerate the unkindness, think of their eternal spiritual nature, and return the unkindness with kindness. At every step of the day, choice by choice, you can be training your mind to view the world and respond to the world in a different way, right? This is like responding with samadarshana, right? Seeing underneath. The more you engage the mind in this kind of wisdom, the more the mind picks up on it and begins to respond accordingly. Neuroscientists would say you're making these synapse connections and then you naturally begin to see that way. It becomes automatic, second nature. And when we make it our second nature, our lives change. This wisdom really goes right to the heart of our conflicts and problems in life. They directly counteract the illusion and fear that's deeply rooted in most of us, deeply rooted for many lifetimes. The mastery of evenness of mind will empower you so that even when things are shifting externally in ways that seem problematic, you won't be shaken. You won't enter into depression, frustration, anger, or conflict. In the face of potential conflict with others, where others are feeling a sense of vulnerability due to fear of change, you'll have a cool head and can be a voice of reason. The mastery of equal vision will empower you so that you'll be able to see everyone you meet, every living being, as sacred, regardless of who they are, where they're from, or any bodily consideration. This vision will allow you to treat people with a deeper level of respect, a deeper level of kindness, ultimately with a deeper level of love. People will feel this coming from you. You'll gain people's trust, and you'll be empowered to serve as an instrument of peace wherever you go. The mastery of inner happiness, antasukha, will relieve you of so much unnecessary endeavor. It'll be a huge burden off your back. When you deeply imbibe that your happiness is not dependent on anything external, and that you've got everything you need to be happy within yourself, you'll no longer feel that you have to impose your needs on others. You'll be free of the fear that you need to change others or the behavior of others in order to be secure and happy. You'll be naturally carefree, freeing up space in your mind and heart to care for others. These three ideas, these three ways to master the mind, evenness of mind, equal vision, and inner happiness, this is what it really means to be spiritual, to think, feel, and act spiritual. Okay? Does that make sense? To understand what karma yoga is? You can see how that person's a yogi if they're really practicing this, even though they're doing the same exact job that looks like it's a typical material endeavor, right? So two people could be doing the same exact job externally, but one is cultivating a deep spiritual inner life, and another is just engaged in the typical material consciousness. But that person that's engaging this deep inner life, they're a yogi. And Krishna, and if we go back again, now let's go back and hear that text from the 6th chapter again. Krishna says, one who is unattached to the fruits of his work and who works as he is obligated is in the renounced order of life. They're a sannyasi, and he's a true mystic, a yogi, not he who lights no fire and performs no duty, right? So you can see how Krishna's saying that person, it's like non-pretentious spirituality, but it's real. you know, and it really transforms someone, you know. And if you can be like that, people are like, well, that person's different. You know, they're really onto something. You know? Are there any questions about that? We got a few minutes left. Yes, let's get the mic over to you.
Thank you. If Karma Yoga focuses on selfless action and Bhakti Yoga on devotion, can a person practice both simultaneously, or should one come before the other?
That's a good question. And as we said, Bhakti Yoga is commonly practiced in the world, embracing one's activities. And Karma Yoga is done with a type of detachment, and commonly it's done where you're thinking that I'm making this work and the fruits of this work an offering to God. So what's the difference? And we discussed this a few days back, but a bhakti yogi has a very clear goal in mind. Their goal through their yoga is to achieve a state of prema, to that pure and overpowering love within the heart will arise within them, and they'll feel the deepest love and attachment for God. The karma yogi may just be operating in the world in such a way where they don't become more entangled, where they achieve moksha, they achieve freedom, even though they're living in this world, where the material energy is no longer affecting them, and where the laws of karma, they're beyond them. That does not necessarily include devotion for God, but commonly it does, and commonly that devotion for God grows. So the line between them becomes blurrier as one's performing karma yoga, not just to remain detached, but to make everything an offering to God. So I'm forgetting your exact question, but bhakti yoga and karma yoga can get blurry, but know for sure that by definition, a bhakti yogi is determined to awaken divine love within them, where karma yogi may not be. Is that okay? Is that helpful? Yeah.
The part of it was, can we practice both together?
Well, in other words, the more that you are doing karma yoga for the pleasure of God, the more you're moving in the direction of bhakti. And bhakti, that's not here anymore, but bhakti is under that larger karma yoga category. I'm going to have to end right now but if we look over here, you're doing bhakti yoga and you're under this category of karma yoga. It doesn't say it here. Let me pull up this one. You're doing bhakti yoga and you're under this category of karma yoga, that you're working in the world with detachment and knowledge. I need to stop right now because I'm out of time. I thank you all so very much. We'll be back tomorrow and we'll get into, you know what we get into? Bhakti yoga.
Haribo.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Hari Om Tat Sat.